We're starting off high.
We can get a two fools agree on that one. Oh, by the way, look, we got the wide shot.
There was you had accountability. Now what I can
now all you need is a podcast and a YouTube channel.
No, not even.
Where give me the money. Show me the money.
Apparently there's a Foolproof page.
Shoot the J. Shoot it. Live on Facebook.com/Foolproof Entertainment Network. I need you on Twitter. I need you to repost the Facebook pages.
To raise a human before I would
trust a human to raise a pack of wolves?
Before I would trust a pack of humans to raise a wolf.
Right. I hear you. Yo! Welcome back to another edition of Do Fools Agree. As always, I'm your host, Michael Reggie, here with my main man, Clifford Jordan Jennings.
Hola.
What up?
Nothing was happening.
I see you in New Digs.
Yeah, I'm in the dungeon now.
Welcome to the dungeon.
You know the dungeon,
oh, that's jungle.
family.
Jungle, damn it. Hey, man, it looks good, though. It looks crisp.
Mm-hmm.
Doing a little something. Doing a little something,
you know, I like my little setup.
It's nice. I like it, man. Little box. Is this also you double as your office? I see the work phone behind you.
Yeah. Yeah, man.
Gotta have the old school telephone, eh?
This that communication station right here.
Right next to the furnace. I'm sure that never gets loud.
On occasions.
You know, hey man, I feel it. We used to have ours down in the basement as well, so I get it.
Yeah, on occasions, but you know.
How you been? How's the week?
It was alright. It wasn't bad. It went by pretty quick.
Sure you were busy continuing moving stuff? Or did you get most of that done last weekend?
I finished up most of it Sunday.
Okay.
But there's still some stuff back at the house I gotta get, but nothing major.
Gotcha. That's always a pain in the ass. I get it.
Yeah, gotta get that cleaned out and shit.
I understand.
It's always something, though, you know?
It's always something. You got any?
I was almost late.
Almost late? You were late.
I wasn't late.
Yes, you were.
I was
signed on at like 8:07 or 9:17.
That ain't right.
A wizard is never late, Frodo Baggins. Nor is he early. He arrives precisely when he meets.
You know?
You got any advertence to get us going?
I don't know if I have an inadvert.
This could be a shit show of a show then. Let's roll.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't remember having an inadvert prepared. I've been having,
you've
a lot going on.
Had a lot going on. And similarly, my week was a little slammed this week too. So I'm trying to I will start off with I did give Skull and Bone. I at least played it for an hour tonight. I'm not really digging it. I'm not really
You're not.
It. Now, that being said, I think I'm still in like the tutorial stuff, so I'm not willing to scrap it yet. But did not exceed expectations.
I heard some
needs
things.
Improvement.
The only reason why I didn't really get it, but aside from the things I heard, was they don't have any sort of online PvP.
Are you sure about that? Because I feel like people were attacking me in the starting zone.
Well, yeah, no, but that's just you on your voyage.
Yeah.
So it gives me, without playing it, it gives me like early days of Grand Theft Auto 5 vibes where you're just trying to get your mission done, but people keep bothering you in your own world.
Yeah. That sounds accurate-ish.
Right.
I
I was thinking
that.
more so. Now I knew that you would be able to come across people in your world, but I was more so thinking you would have like a battleground for them somewhere.
Yeah.
And because they don't, and that might be something they add, but it really just, like I said, it seems like it's just a copy and paste of Assassin's Creed Black Flag.
Well, and right now I don't know, like, yes, you can disembark from the ship, but I haven't seen any like kind of combat or anything off of a ship.
No, there is none.
Yeah, see that to me,
that was another thing that turned me up.
Part of it is like when you said it was like a Assassin's Creed Black Flag, I got behind it because like I liked both the sea warfare and the onshore stuff with that one, and not having the onshore, like, it's really not worth the price of a full game, and I kind of feel cheated.
But you know, it couldn't be a copy and paste on like sea and on land, because if that was the case, they would have to keep the same fighting system that they had in Assassin's Creed, and people would be like, now you just think we dumb.
Right. Well, I mean, I don't know. I kind of go back and forth with that because if it's a mechanic and stuff that people liked, then what's the problem? You know what I mean? But I hear what you're saying.
I guess it is owned by the same people, huh?
Yeah, it is. It is Ubisoft.
Mm-hmm.
But at that point, yeah, just call it Assassin's Creed on the Black Sea or something.
Right. I mean, they'd have been better off doing it that way.
Yeah. Let's see, what else did I get? I am starting that Last of Us remake. That's pretty good.
The first one?
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
And the Last of Us Part 2 remake is supposed to be, I don't know that it's out yet, but it's supposed to be dropping.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So that's my first time playing through that. I'm going to be curious now because I've seen the show before playing the game, like to see the differences and stuff on that front.
Right.
And then Final Fantasy VII, man. The remake on that one. Because Rebirth, which is like the part 2 to Final Fantasy VII, comes out, I think, the end of the month, next week. So.
Oh, really?
Getting in on that.
That's the one that you bought last year.
And never got around to, and yeah.
Okay.
So I'm just now getting back to it. But that one was.
Are you worried about the new stuff and you ain't got to the old shit?
Well, I'm halfway through the old one now, so. Maybe a little bit more than halfway. I can't remember how many chapters there are. And then, most excitingly, next Friday, the movie that people are calling potentially going to not only be the biggest movie of the year so far, but maybe the biggest movie of the year, period. And I am hearing fantastic things. And the way people are talking about it is that this is truly part 2, and the right way to watch these movies is back to back. Unfortunately, that's like 10-hour commitment. Is Dune 2, man. I'm hearing fantastic things about it.
Well, and I'm excited. You got me on the first one. I'm not gonna lie. Mima was she said I've been trying to get her hip to the smart TVs and all that.
Yeah.
So she's been scrolling through Netflix and everything, and she said, Clifford, how do you get that TV to stop a movie and go back to the beginning where you were when it switches? I guess she had like let a season play through.
Yeah.
She said, I was stuck watching Dune all damn.
Tell her it's a good movie. She should enjoy it.
I thought it was. I thought it was.
Yeah, man, excited about that one. And excited that folks that I trust in terms of reviews are excited about it. Like, they've already they've already been to screenings and stuff, and just that it is incredible.
Really?
So now I feel like I gotta watch the first one, like, either the night before, or if I can work it out, like, right into going into the theater for the second one.
That's crazy. I just had it on not too long ago, ironically.
Yeah.
I don't remember if I turned it on or if it just did if it memed me.
If it memed you.
They must be pushing that.
Oh, I bet they are. Subtle advertising.
Yeah, I can't remember. I was putting stuff together and I had it playing in the background. I still love that scene where she has him in the has his hand in the thing.
Mm-hmm. Fear is the mind killer. Fear is the little death that brings total annihilation.
I didn't like how the mom acted towards the lady who was testing him.
Right.
Like, bitch, you broke the rules. You broke the rules. Right? So don't act all of a sudden like you ain't do nothing wrong. This was necessary.
Right.
This is what happens when you break the rules.
And what's interesting is that, it's funny, been reading a book series. It's called the Broken Earth Trilogy. Female black woman N.K. Jemisin is the author.
I'm not familiar.
That series has a very similar through line where there are people who are born with like special abilities, basically like the ability to connect with the earth, and later on you find out that there's also something in that world called magic, and the two things are similar but not the same. And the main protagonist has a daughter who ends up becoming like the most powerful wielder of this stuff, blah, blah, blah. It's a great series. If folks looking for a relatively quick book read, the Broken Earth Saga, pretty solid, and it's definitely got some of those vibes. Like, the whole foundation of the book is that at some point there was some huge natural disaster and we find out later it wasn't natural, that basically cast the moon off. And the earth, the spirit of the earth kind of revolted against humanity, and like there are these things called the fifth season, and the fifth season are basically cataclysmic events every 300 years that wipe out 75% of the population, etc. And so you come in at the start of one of these seasons and kind of get to witness things unfold and how they try to bring an end to them, etc. But it's interesting. It's an interesting book. A lot of allegory for probably slavery, but treating other races differently and like dehumanizing them to the point where they just become tools, and then eventually they fight back. Go figure.
Right.
Also, the other book read lately, I started Patrick Stewart's memoir, Jean-Luc Picard.
That's who I thought that was.
Yep. And he talks about his like relatively poor upbringing in, I think it's Northern England. And there were two like cool facts that I learned. So he boxed when he was younger.
Oh, for
and
real?
was like a boxing like champion, but he was a pugilist.
That's how I thought this motherfucker was a pugilist.
And the other thing is that in his youth, one of his like mentors, I'd call it, or acting coaches from his youth, had this like old estate home, and he talked about looking at portraits that were in the home and them having like a fuzzy aura around them, and then eventually seeing spirits in that house. So Patrick Stewart, also a believer in the supernatural and the ethereal.
I'm sure.
Which I found very interesting. Just given some of the conversations that we've had over the years on the show, I'm like, all right, Sir Patrick. So that's been a pretty good read so far too.
What did he interpret the blurriness around the pictures to be?
He really wasn't sure. He ended up like confiding in the person who owned the home, and she basically just described it very nonchalantly, like that's the way portraits of our family have always looked like that, but not many people can see the haze. And then she talked about how there was a spirit living in the house with her that had actually journeyed with her from her previous home to this place, and wasn't like a vengeful spirit or anything, but like the spirit of a little girl that would kind of watch over her and check in on her and things. And like this woman and then someone else later in his life, in Patrick Stewart's life, said that he had a little bit of a had a like blue light aura about him as well.
About Patrick Stewart?
Uh-huh. So just interesting stuff. And like he basically had claimed to see something similar with contemporary actors of like his time. He talked about Ian McClellan like having something similar, and I don't remember who else, but that was the one that kind of stuck with me. So interesting stuff.
Maybe that's just what happens when you vibe out the same.
Right?
You know, you can see even beyond your existence's vibes. I bet that would be true, though. You know.
Well, here's the interesting part of it. His acting coach, or his voice coach, I think it was, said that she could see the aura, like when she was one-on-one with him and like in crowded rooms and that kind of stuff, but that the aura like dissipated when he was in the moment, like acting on stage. Which I think is also interesting. It's like, is he tapping into something that, you know, I don't know. It was just interesting to hear it described that way. Like, yes, you have it, but then when you're in your element, it goes away.
Maybe that's a good thing, though.
Right.
Maybe you're that good of an actor that when I jump into a role, of course my aura disappears because I'm no longer myself.
Bingo. That was kind of my thought with it too, was that like by embodying someone else, it actually changes his own aura.
Right.
Like that's how good of an actor he is. I don't know.
That kind of goes into the depth of how like saying how the world works would be too vague, but I can't really find
like the right wording for it.
Right. But you know, like that's why they say, you know, like watch the shit that you put into yourself. Like, you know, whether it be music, movies, television, video games, books you read, because I could imagine that certain things
well, it kind of comes back
alter, manipulate.
It kind of comes back to what we talked about last week, right? Like the power of words.
Right. Yeah. That's definitely right.
So, yeah, I don't know. I just find it interesting.
Because I'm sure somebody that would be watching it or seeing that take place from a standpoint of the scene that the person is acting out wouldn't think of it as deep as, because I guess what's kind of bugging me out is I wouldn't imagine that would take place that quickly.
What do you mean?
Unless you are that strong of an actor.
Gotcha. Like it would take time.
Right, I wouldn't imagine for your aura to fade that fast.
But you got to think, by the time he's on stage, he's been through rehearsals, he's been through other stuff. Like maybe he's found a way to kind of tap into it when he steps onto the stage. That it's rehearsal. He finds it, steps onto stage, and like it's almost transformative for him.
Right, right. That's wild. That's wild to try to wrap your mind around.
Right?
What all has he played in other than Star Trek?
I mean, he's primarily up until Star Trek, he was a stage actor, but he's been in plenty of stuff. Like he was in the original Dune. He was in a few like gangster movies. He obviously Star Trek and X Men. He was Professor X in X Men.
Right, right.
Moby Dick, like the theatrical version of that back in I think the 80s. Um,
Okay.
I'm
So
trying to think
he
what
got
else. But like his background is like a Shakespearean actor. Like he
right.
was part of the Royal Shakespearean troupe or whatever in England for a while.
Yeah, he was definitely a pugilist.
With his
That's
trousers
probably
and knickers.
that's probably why it didn't work out for him.
Oh man. Yeah, it's interesting stuff. I like doing, the occasional memoir or biography. My other favorite one of all time was Bob Iger,
Mm,
the CEO of Disney. His is pretty good too.
that Nazi.
No, he's trying to change that, but
Mm.
or at least he says he is. I don't know. Who knows?
Right.
Let's see what else. Trying to think if there were anything from a couple of the ongoing, listening to podcasts. If there was anything that stuck out to me,
Yeah, right.
because I actually listened to quite a few this week, heading up because I went into work like 2 or 3 times. So there and back is a fair amount of driving.
All right. I
Nothing
do
really.
feel like I heard something that I wanted to speak on, but I cannot remember what it is.
Well, what about this whole Russia has EMPs targeted towards our satellites? Or a way to deploy EMPs against U.S. satellites?
Oh, I heard that they already deployed an anti-satellite device
Interesting.
that basically can hit us with EMPs. But I don't blame them, they should.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? They should. That's smart, right? I mean, like I'm not saying that I'm happy about it or
Well, what's
anything.
interesting, what's
I'm just
interesting to
saying they
me,
should.
what's interesting to me on that front, and where I think the United States is actually better positioned than probably a lot of other nations, is one, given the sheer geographic size of the U.S., but two, although with as much consolidation as we've seen in multiple industries over the last year, it's not as strong as it used to be. But like the fact that
Right.
we have different providers, like you can't just hit an AT&T satellite. You got to hit AT&T, Verizon, T-Mobile, like and
Nah, not for real. Not if you go after AEP.
well, fair enough because
That's the only one.
that's also the rumor right now is that China is in a lot of our infrastructure systems.
That's the only one. I never understood that. Like, why are these the only Columbia and AEP, the only two providers that you can have?
But that's in Ohio.
Right.
So I feel like there's other providers elsewhere, and this whole supplier versus distributor thing. Ever since they deregulated the energy industry, I don't completely understand. Like, where is this shit actually coming from?
They got an umbilical cord underground to Africa,
Where's
where
that
it's
one?
hooked up.
How
Where
do
it's
I pay for that option?
ironically right, where it's ironically hooked up to two of those Tesla towers. Those what are they called? Those coils.
Tesla, yeah, Tesla tower, Tesla coil.
Even though that it's really like we giving him too much praise because motherfuckers had them long before he was thought about.
Yeah, but that was first man before written history started. So,
Nah, what that is that's the white folks stealing the braids. Or the Travis
but
Kelsey
they even
haircut.
stole it. They even stole it from their own people. We decided to go Thomas fucking Edison.
Kelsey haircut. Fuckers.
Oh,
you got
man.
everybody calling it a Tesla coil.
True. All right, so of the potential attacks on America in terms of a World War III starting, what do you think we would be at risk for, like, in Ohio? Columbus, Ohio. Now, we do have the defense supply contract, whatever.
But I don't think that really matters.
Yeah,
much.
I don't think that's a big enough deal.
Nobody's really gunning for that because everybody already has everything they need.
Right.
Now, I could see us being a target down the line if it was like a drawn out situation where they were losing a lot of shit. But at the same time, I would need to know what it is that they produce. Like, did you evolve at that center? Like, beyond trucks and tanks and shit like that? Like, do you operate drones and shit like that?
Are you a warehouse for drones or
because then
DWs or
right, that would speed up my impact process, you know? Like, I would target you faster if that was the case.
Yeah.
So I would really think that most people in that scenario would think that they could get it done with just an EMP. I think that this would be like one of the target areas for that, but I don't really think it would be anything beyond that unless things went on for so long that they have to stop the supply chain, you know, of the weapons or whatever.
So with that in mind, have you seen any review? Like, here's the thing, is that I have never seen, and funny enough, probably part of the reason why, like, footage of, like, an EMP detonation. And what does it do? How does it work? Blah, blah, blah. And then on top of that, like, how instantaneous are the effects? Because I told you, like, I've been not like super into it, but a little bit of the Doomsday Prepper.
I mean, it'd be safe
I've been looking into the what is it? The like a TARP device, TARP.
Like one of those things that stop,
you plug
pulses.
into. Yep, you plug it into either your generator or your car, and it's supposed to stop an EMP. But like, I don't know. I've never seen data or like video proof that shit works.
No, that's also another good question, because my understanding, and they've changed this over the years as far as like television goes.
Yeah.
But my understanding was always like kind of like if the lightning strikes and you don't have your shit plugged into a grounded outlet, how it's done.
Yeah.
There is no coming back for that. I was under the impression that once the EMP hit, if your device was, wasn't sealed in a, electromagnetic bag or around
Faraday
like
bag
what you're talking
or
about, that device itself was done. Now they're making it seem with television and all that, like if you plug it back in afterwards, you're good. It was just that initial hit. But if that's the case, then how effective is that weapon really?
Well, and that's really my thing. A weapon,
is like, it's just a smoke screen.
Yeah, and that's my thing, is that I know what they are in theory, and I know, fucking Star Wars has had ion pulses since the 70s that they talked about. But it's true. Like they have talked about that kind of technology since then. I mean, I used to play X-Wing versus TIE Fighter, X-Wing and TIE Fighter, like those games on the PC, and one of your weapons was an ion cannon, which was basically an EMP pulse. Like, you could take out shields and disable a ship with it. You weren't going to destroy a ship with it. So, like, but I've never seen what that tech looks like in real life. Like, what's the range? Like, how effective is it? What's the range? How does it travel through, like, other surfaces? Like, I kind of have an idea of that when it comes to explosions, right? Like demolitions. Right. I don't know how that would work with an EMP.
No, I think you're absolutely right. Like, I think it all is mostly speculation because I don't think it's something that you could catch on camera.
Right. Well, and there's probably a reason why is that, yeah, you can't catch it on camera because guess what? As soon as it goes off, the camera's fried. Like,
right. And then what I'm thinking, what I just said about, being under the impression that the device was done once it got hit with the EMP.
Right.
That would make sense as to why Russia would launch, like, basically a anti-satellite in a sense. Because if you're hitting the satellite, then you're stopping the communication from the provider. But you're not stopping any of the communication devices that people own back at home.
Well, and unless you're taking down, like, the internet entirely, you still have methods of communication. Like, text messaging and all that stuff works just as well through Wi-Fi as it does through cellular. Now, the question is, what happens to hardline connections and that kind of stuff? Like, do they rely on satellites, or is that...
Would you still
we know there are internet cables under the ocean, like, you know what I mean?
Yeah. You're not,
and honestly,
that.
You still have your home network too at that point. Like, you may not be able to get out, but, like, your devices inside your house still, I don't know, still work.
They still work, but
if they can't connect to source material,
if AEP's not around, then you need you need a generator.
Yeah.
If this world lasts long enough, I wonder if you start seeing people, like, really start building their house like that.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, because if I had the bread, I mean, I'll probably add a bunker in there. Why not? I got the bread. But if I had the bread, I would have that, and then I would have, like, hella generators lined up underground around my house, just with a solar panel, like, hub that's powering them. And that would be like, I mean, we know that you can power your house off of solar energy, so you damn near wouldn't even need electricity at that point. But I feel like if you had enough strategically placed, it wouldn't matter what would happen if the EMP didn't hit, again, your devices specifically.
Right.
Now, you might not have nobody else to talk to.
True. I don't like anybody else anyway.
Then you might find yourself in a group chat with all of them devils that run the world, like Zuckerberg and Gates and Oprah and all of them.
I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to put an old school Nintendo, and, like, 12 games in a Faraday bag.
Mm-hmm.
So the world ends. I've got a generator. I'm playing Nintendo.
you just talk
cartridges.
Right into my inadvert, right? So I did have an inadvert. They always come to you in the shower. But I was thinking, like,
that's why some people may call them shower thoughts.
That's interesting. Why is that? That's a question. But We can tackle that after I get this out before I forget
Before I
again.
neuralize you again.
Right. But I was thinking, like, is that why the government like implemented historical tags? When did that take place? When did they start implementing historical tags? Because I felt like around our generation is where, like, I'm sure there were historical vehicles prior to, but our generation was where they made a big deal out of if your car was older than this age, you had to have historical tags and you could only drive it during certain time frames if you had that vehicle because it technically, quote unquote, wasn't meant to be a driven vehicle. It's a historical vehicle now.
Gotcha. Yeah.
And I thought to myself, like, is that why they went for that push? Because you know that they say they plan 20 plus years ahead, right? So if you know that you're going to an era where everything's going to be electric, then you kind of have to make sure that people don't have much access or need for access to vehicles that don't require that electricity. They say that NASA has a whole parking lot
Yeah, I've
full of
seen those
cars
videos that are
that,
all
right, and that makes sense because if you're dealing with all this shit nowadays, those then become gold because they're the only vehicle that can't be affected
yeah.
by all the nonsense that's going on around them.
Well, and that's where, like, again, not knowing the effectiveness, I might still be willing to drop $70 on a car outlet TARP device to protect, a $20,000 car, $15,000 car, $1,000 car. You know what I mean?
Right. I just don't like how that's even necessary,
Yeah.
right? Like, why does my car have to have any sort of computer in it? Like, how have we gotten it's really the fact that we've gotten so dumb. Because these motherfuckers have been taking steps. It's almost like red light, green light, right? But
Well, it's
they're
all under the guise of safety, right? Like they can
nah,
die.
but
Well, I said guys. I didn't say I believe that.
right. If they've been taking steps that essentially reduce our freedoms for years, and people have just been but it seems like they're doing it. Well, now they're doing it blatantly, but back in the day they would do it like
They were more
not even
sneaky
behind
about
your
it.
back, but while you were sleeping. This is what we came up with. And
Right.
people would wake up and be like, oh shit, why do we have to deal with this? But I still gotta get my day finished. And they would go about their business. And now it's like during your day where you're already getting fucked by corporate America in the world or your workplace, they like, huh, and we doing this too. What y'all gonna do about it?
Right.
Because by now, once they've taken so many steps, it's like we know that you're not gonna do nothing.
Right. Well, and it's actually interesting. The auto market is interesting, and so that's tied to a little bit of kind of what I do now. And the fight over the right to repair, which is basically saying like auto manufacturers can't cut out like your neighborhood auto shops from being able to repair your vehicle because of XYZ technology. So automakers are trying to say that the onboard computer and the data that it contains are proprietary. Oh, and by the way, you can't fix the car unless you are also tapped into that quote unquote proprietary technology.
Right. I knew
That's
that was
that's
happening.
that's a big fight in the auto industry right now.
I knew that was happening.
Well, and it's especially crazy for auto glass when you start talking about things like HUDs and onboard cameras and front-facing cameras and that kind of stuff. Because those cameras have to be calibrated, and if you can't access the onboard computer, you can't calibrate them.
Right. The people that would have that key are the manufacturer.
Yep. So manufacturers trying to create vertical monopolies
But see, that's
where they own everything, but they also don't have the capacity to deal with it.
I saw that coming from a mile away as well, though.
Yeah.
I saw that coming from a fucking mile away.
Well, you know what the scariest one is, and having previously worked in the financial services industry, the fact that Capital One just bought Discover, or is attempting to buy Discover.
No, I think they already did.
Well, they have announced that they are purchasing them, but it still has to go through regulatory approval and all that kind of stuff. So what's interesting in that is that would be the first time that a financial services company owned not only kind of the back end bank, but also owned the network through which transactions are processed, which is owned by Visa and MasterCard, which technically aren't owned by any of the big banks. They basically act as an intermediary or a third party, and they have the ability to kind of keep the banks in check a little bit.
So you're saying that Capital One would be like rogue, like they could control everything.
End to end. Yep. Which could be good if you're a Capital One customer or a Capital One merchant and you're not getting charged network fees because they own the network. But let's be real how that actually plays out. They make more money, everybody else makes less.
I don't know what that really means, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, to the average consumer, probably not much, but I think from a banking industry thing, I think it sets a dangerous precedent because, again, you're taking an industry and it's already kind of oligarchy in that industry.
It's a matter of perspective, though, right? Not to cut you off.
Yeah, no.
But I'm just thinking to myself, like, it's a matter of perspective too, right? Because what if this is by design?
Yeah.
What if people are at the point of rising up, but at the moment it seems like the target is a phantom?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Where do I find the specifics who are oppressing me? And there's nowhere to really point your arms. But the point that we're headed to, you know, which is a fucking crazy monopoly type situation, you're putting all the people at the top that need to be at the top.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? You're racing to your wealth, but at the same time, you're putting a target on your back because now it gets much easier to identify who it is or where it is that I need to, you know, aim at.
See, I'm interested with you saying that. So Capital One, who owns Capital One?
Like, it seems bad from a surface perspective, but in the long run, it's like you're narrowing my sights. You're dialing me in a little bit more than I was before.
Damn it. Who do you think owns them? Actually, they own a smaller percentage than most of what they own.
I was about to say BlackRock.
BlackRock and Vanguard, yep.
Mm-hmm.
Which means they too are owned by Bank of America, Merrill Lynch. What's interesting, though, is that across Vanguard and BlackRock, it's only like 18%, where usually their number in a play like that is much higher. Interesting. Huh.
Is right. You know? Is right.
All right. What else we got? What's in your bug out bag, man? What you got?
What's in mine? I don't have it down here, but I have a little half of one that I've been.
I've got like 2 Amazon cart loads that I'm waiting for bonus time.
Yeah, I
to
got
decide
some
whether or
stuff
not
like
I
that.
want to pull the trigger on it.
I got some stuff like that right now.
Because the generator I want is expensive.
See, I need to start thinking about that.
Well, no, you get the guns, I'll get the generator. We'll be all right.
Listen.
Because you've been my ride or die through life, Cliff. We ain't stopping this in post-apocalyptia.
No. Not at all.
And I feel like the two of us are very charismatic people that people would follow if we needed a crew. You know what I mean? Or we could just say fuck it and go live by ourselves.
Well, you know, we've talked about this, and the crew's already got.
Right.
Crew's already got. It's just a matter of finding a big enough space to house everyone. But you know what I always say.
I think we call Pete and we just take over the mansion.
I mean, that would be smart.
It's relatively centrally located. Like, it's not off the grid, which is the only thing I don't like. But like, as an intermediate, is like a first step, because it's got those big walls that you could fortify a little bit.
Yeah, I don't mind that at all. I don't mind not being off the grid because one, you're hiding in plain sight, and two is if they drop bombs, you're the point of impact, baby. You know,
Quickly done. I hear you.
Yeah, you're out of there. So I don't mind that whatsoever. But that wouldn't be a bad idea.
Seems like a defensible position.
It definitely does. And it's damn near camouflaged.
Right.
Wouldn't be much harder to make it more camouflaged.
No. Because it's kind of tucked back.
Right. And you got a nice set, little greenery around it to hide, what it
Well, you got greenery and you have, I mean, not that I necessarily, well, no, part of my purchases was water purification. Like,
you got the little straw.
You got Alum Creek. Well, not only the little straw, it's the bag that the straw attaches to. But but yeah, man, you got the creek like right there too.
You seen what was that called? Fuck, what was that called? I can't think of the name of it. I want to say it's either on Prime, but it's a war movie about the dude that gets stuck on the mine.
No.
Him and his partner and enemy. He's a sniper, and they're in enemy territory, and they have to cross this minefield, and his partner steps on the mine, blows his legs off, and he steps on the mine right after him, so he can't run over to help him or anything. So he trying to talk him like back to reality, like calm down, get your radio, get this, tourniquet your legs. The dude's not really fair.
Right. He's lost his leg. Right.
He's looking at his legs like, tripping out. But the movie is basically he finds his way to the radio while standing on the mine. And they say, no one's coming to get you for 56 hours. So he said, you got to survive 56 hours. And in 56 hours, a convoy's passing by right by your location. So fire off your flare when you see the convoy and they'll come to pick you up, basically. And it's an intense movie for it to be. It almost reminds me of Open Water. Like, it's not taking place anywhere, just this one little area, but it's a very intense movie the whole way through.
Wow.
I can't think of the name of it. Watch it be something stupid like Mine or something. But I can't. It's a good movie, though. That motherfucker was good. Where did that come from?
What
were we talking about before that?
Oh, we were talking about defensible positions, the creek.
About that actually would be a.
I mean, it's brick, which is nice too. Like, it's largely brick. It's a little bit elevated for that area.
Because that's really the main idea, right? Like, is if you hit a situation like that, of course the key is survival, duh. But the main thing is surviving that first wave of hysteria that
Right.
takes place around
It's
it.
really the first 30 days, right? Because then either shit is going to calm down, or shit will have completely devolved to the point where you know what's what at that point.
You hear what I'm saying? So if you got a group of like-minded individuals that have at least been making sure that they're taken care of for 30 days, let alone everybody else,
Right.
but themselves are taken care of. All you need is your bug out bag, which I will name what I got in mind, but your bug out bag and your food rations. And I keep dried beans and dried rice. I probably got like 50 pounds of it in a box. That way I could just grab the box, throw it in the trunk, grab my bug out bag and my shit that I need to take, throw it in the trunk and hit the road.
Yep.
And that 50 pounds shit, the way I do my thing, that probably lasts me a good half a year.
Right.
So if you're contributing that with the other people around you, at that point, all you need is a spot.
Yep. Completely agree. And similarly, like food and water are the two big things that, have started to stash. And then obviously, like the obvious stuff, like we've talked about the generator, first aid kit or first aid supplies, that kind of shit. The water purification type stuff.
Yeah, I got
fire
all
starters,
kinds of first aid shit in there, but I got like a ghetto first aid kit, like all the stuff that I've gotten over the years that I know would be useful. I just threw in a bag,
Yeah.
It's not like a put together, but I got antibiotics and everything in there. I ain't playing.
Nah, I'm with you. Nothing
I
wrong
had a
with being
prescription
prepared.
of antibiotics that I didn't take. I'm pissed as fuck too. That I didn't take, but I went to the pharmacy and they double filled one of my orders. They double filled my pain medication instead of giving me one pain medication, one antibiotic. And I was so pissed. Anybody else would be like, hell yeah, take the pain. But I was thinking that, and I didn't even need that. And the crazy thing is, I checked after, everything had passed. Yeah. And I was like, at least I got this whole script of antibiotics I ain't taking. I'm looking at it, and it's more pain meds. So I'm like, man.
Damn it.
So I got pain meds in there too. But I was pissed at that. Yeah, all the prescription shit that I know would be useful that I know I'm not gonna take goes in that bag.
Yeah. I'm with you.
Can't think of what else I got. Oh, I got hella batteries. I got a battery operated radio. I got a couple battery operated lights.
I've got a couple of crank power banks that have lights, radio, other stuff with it too.
I can't think of what else though. I think I got earplugs. I really can't remember.
Yeah. Yeah, well.
Right now it's the food. I'm focused on the food and the water.
Yeah. No, I'm with you on that.
You know how these motherfuckers did when COVID came around.
Right.
Couldn't get water, couldn't find toilet paper. They were snatching everything up. And if you know it was just a little crisis like a virus, and God forbid, I'm sorry to say little, if anybody, lost anyone from it. But not to sound harsh, they knew it was going to be casualties.
Right.
But imagine what something like this would be. Even if it only lasts 30 days, they don't know that. We don't know that.
Right.
It's gonna be mayhem.
Well, it depends too what kind of thing we're talking about. Like, we talking nuclear winter and we're all fucked anyways, or are we talking like disrupted infrastructure?
Well, see, that's what I was more so leaning towards. You jumping all the way to the worst case scenario.
No, but that's, I mean, those are like the two possibilities, right? Like, truly,
I
we
think,
haven't lived through a war on American soil before.
and we never will.
Right.
Well, no, I won't say we never will. Let me pump those brakes.
Not unless we started with each other.
That's one. Two is if these, because we know how dedicated these countries used to be to taking down the United States. If these countries did, you know, put in a lot of sleeper cells, so to speak, into the country, I can see it being a date where everyone turns from the inside that were meant to, you know, carry out an alternate motive.
Yeah.
Or, you know, everybody's making a big deal over the migrants that are coming in, which I feel like is a very fair, you know, argument that, you know, where's the women and the children? I get it. I can see that turning into a situation where the government uses them as like, you know, how they bring the army in.
Almost like false flag, sleeper cell kind of deal. Or what are you saying?
So that, I mean, it could be so many different variables of how, but I'm thinking more so like when like they bring in the National Guard and shit, when they call, what is it they call, they almost did it during the
Martial law.
Martial law. And I think those will be the people that you have show up because they know that the American people are going to be on bullshit. And it's like better we lose them than our own. Not to mention that a lot of your own are probably going to be against you at that point as well.
Right.
So we need as many people around that don't know what's going on that are willing to fight just in case.
Yeah.
And that's not that's not smart. I don't care if those are soldiers. I don't care if those are Navy SEALs from the countries that they came from. People talk about America for a reason. If it truly does pop off and the people like are fighting like Ukraine, where the regular person is taking up arms, and you have problems.
You fucked around and found out.
Real talk though. No, I don't care. I don't care if I don't care if 75% of these people are untrained. Like all I know is how to cock and shoot.
Right.
You still have problems. There's too many people around here that have too many guns. It's really going to be to the point, honestly, in certain areas where people are like, we got more guns than people willing to shoot them.
Right.
We just trying to fill people in to shoot.
Yeah, supply is not the problem.
But the thing is, most of those households train the entire house to shoot.
Yeah.
So it's going to be problems. That's why I don't really see us ever just geographically where we're located. I don't see us ever being like invaded on foot.
No, and the way that they would have to do that is,
You only have a few areas.
well, you'd have to start in South America and work your way up. You'd have
Right.
to
It would have to be the Floridas, the Californias, unless you're like coming through Mexico.
That's what I'm saying.
Or
The only effective way to do it is come from Mexico or South America and work your way up through Mexico.
Right. Or the Northeast Americas. And let's keep it a buck. Who the fuck is getting caught in Northeast America? If you're in Northeast America, we know you up to no good. What the fuck are you? There's no sightseeing.
Hey man, all the 9/11 terrorists supposedly came through Canada.
That'd be smart because nobody's paying attention up
Right.
there. But the people that are from there, and they thinking the same thing we thinking around here. What's with all these migrants coming in over the border? Yeah, and then you find out. UFOAF. That's what's happening.
Yeah, I mean, in order to land ground troops, you would have to go through. You'd have to come in through outside the border. You couldn't come in through the border.
Right. You only have those areas. I was watching the it's a dude.
There's a big talk about that with UFOs later. I'll come back to it, but go ahead.
Yeah, do that. But it's a dude. Well, it's a few people actually, because I fell down this rabbit hole a while ago where they would ask like if what would be the likelihood of the United States getting invaded, and they would go over it and they would say, and then there would be other videos like who has the strongest, air force out of all of the, countries, or who has the best, and it would rate, like he would rate the different countries, and it went through the United States. I watched a couple of the videos. That's how and just thinking about what we spend and what we have on war is ridiculous.
Oh, yeah.
Like, absolutely ridiculous. It's so little dick, it doesn't make sense. And it was to the point that separate video, somebody else was like, I never understood why the United States spends so much on war. You have soldiers, use them. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you're making soldiers, if you're creating soldiers, then train them to be soldiers.
Right.
And I'm not saying that they're
but that's dangerous. You
trained.
can't do that, Cliff, because what happens? Then they rise up against tyrannical government.
And that's what it seems like too, because we've come, and I don't want to say but we've come a ways from where the military, like the actual military people in it, have been to where they are now. Now, of course, there are sectors that have still held strong. And I don't mean any underlying message by saying that. I'm just saying, but if you really did feel comfortable in how trained your people were, there wouldn't be any need to continue to times 10 yourself. You know what I'm saying?
The only thing I can think of on that front is it's tied to what we just said. You could not approach the U.S. from the coast due to our naval and air superiority.
Right.
Your only possible is one, what you said with like sleeper cells and like infiltration at a different level, or a ground assault that starts in another country that we're going to be aware of by the time you get to here anyways.
And our anti-air capabilities.
Right. That's what I mean by aerial superiority. Like both are
okay.
Like, and so that actually ties back to some commentary I heard from, I can't remember who. It may have been one of the interviews that Gordon sent us, but talking about the fact that like nothing comes into our airspace that we are unaware of.
Right.
Like the technology has evolved to the point that like if something enters our airspace, we can take it out if it's made of this world.
That's what I was about to say. Nor that we can't humanly reach.
Right.
And I understand all that. So get that. Keep upgrading that as much as you want. but there's no need for all these toys. Like, it's almost to the point now where I feel like they're laundering their money.
Yeah, I mean they are
In a sense.
like
But
the fucking the Department of Defense has never passed an audit. They are like there's 1.8 trillion dollars missing over the last 10 years.
I remember that. I remember them talking about that. But see, look, this is what I'm figuring that they're doing, right? Because we know we've been taught this much, that the rest of the countries get our leftovers. But the leftovers that they receive are generationally less than what we're currently capable of.
Well, and we don't even know what we're currently capable of, which is the scary part.
Correct. So what I at least feel like they're doing is they're buying in bulk. As anyone knows that buys anything, the more you buy, the less the price goes. If I need 15 of them and I have to buy 50 to get the price that I want, that's what I'm going to do. And those 35 are going to sit until my enemies, allies, whoever else is light on theirs. And then I at least have a bulk that I can get rid of and say, oh, you're still on the fucking MP4. I'm on the MP14 right now. You can have these fours.
Yeah.
So you're essentially laundering money because you're taking more than you need to supply people. And then beyond that, see, that's just the background of it all. But then beyond that, you have a motherfucking Sleepy Joe sending all this money elsewhere. So you already hit us before. Motherfuckers wondering why your check get hit 5 times before you get it.
Right.
Because they hit you when you paid for the original weapons that they bought.
That they're now selling off to whoever.
That they're now making money that you're not involved in. And then they're hitting you again because Sleepy Joe wants to send some to them. Not like they didn't get it from us on the back
first
end.
place.
Like we knew you were sending that to them.
Well, that goes back to the
So what else do they need?
even Chappelle with the Negrodamus skit, right? Like, how does George Bush know that Iraq has weapons of mass destruction? Because he has the receipts.
Listen. And isn't that something? But we've seen that go down in so many movies before too. And it always has to do with selling drugs, where you selling drugs and you just making your own money. You rising to the top and you get the eyes of some big time drug dealer. And he's like, hey, young buck, you should come work for me. Matter of fact, how much you getting your bricks for? I hit you off one for less than half the price. Here it go. And then next thing you know is woo, 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 woo. And you looking at this nigga and he over there twiddling his motherfucking fingers.
Speaking of which, watched Griselda with Sofia Vergara about the Colombian queen pin. Similar story. She got her product at a lower bulk price. And then when the big dogs came in,
she's the first one I'm going to give up. Mm-hmm. But there were multiple reasons as to why. But
of course.
I couldn't get into it because they made her look all attractive by getting Sofia Vergara, and I'm like, listen, she
I thought
the most attractive young lady. She was like somebody's abuela out there, you know what I'm saying?
Meanwhile, I thought Sofia Vergara's makeup in that was atrocious, and I had hoped that it was because she was supposed to be.
Yeah, they did it on purpose. But I'm saying, like, she gave you more like, you know, grandma aunt vibes than she did, and you know, like, so like that just wasn't a good.
No, I'm with you. I wasn't a huge fan.
Yeah, they just got her because she's Colombian and she's fiery.
Right. Well, she actually produced it, I think.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So she pulled a rock then.
True. Speaking of The Rock, I don't know if Malk's still out here. I know he said "What up, fools" at the beginning of the show. Have you seen all this stuff with The Rock and like him trying to basically swoop in and take WrestleMania from Cody Rhodes?
No, I haven't.
So Rock came back, I guess, at the Royal Rumble. Cody Rhodes won the Royal Rumble. So Cody Rhodes, brother of Goldust, Dustin Rhodes, son of Dusty Rhodes.
All right.
Kind of one of like the big. He's probably the biggest baby face in the company right now. But he's been on kind of a meteoric rise, and a lot of people think he's going to be the person to finally unseat Roman Reigns as the WWE champion. But then Rock came in and was basically going to take his title shot away from him so that he could do it. And then fans just went haywire and they kind of backed off of it. But how Rock is coming back at like 50 years old, man. I mean, he's got to be in his 50s, right?
Yeah. Well, wait. Yeah.
Right?
Because he was on that.
He was big when we were in middle school.
He was on that Miami Hurricanes team with Sapp and all them. Yeah.
And so Rock trying to come back. Rock is also starring in 2 upcoming Disney films. The Moana live-action adaptation and Moana 2 from an animated standpoint.
Why do they do this? Can somebody tell me, can we ask ChatGPT why they do this? Why do they do this? Why do they keep making live-action movies of animated films? Like, just let them live.
Right.
You already tried it with Lion King, and you're not going to beat Lion King's numbers.
No, you're not. Although the problem is that a couple of them did do well. Like, you had a couple that did well. Aladdin did relatively well. Actually, Lion King did well. It made like $1 billion.
Did it?
As did Beauty and the Beast. As did Jungle Book.
But nah, I'm not buying it. Those are inflated numbers. We know what y'all do with artists that y'all love on man, be buying 50,000 tickets out the gate just cause to start the and that's on the low end. Stop playing with me.
Although I will say, I actually thought Aladdin definitely not as good as the animated, but it was still fun.
You talking about the one where Will Smith was the genie?
Uh-huh.
I haven't seen it. So I can't speak
It wasn't bad.
I actually haven't seen Lion King, so I can't speak on that.
Lion King, actually, out of all the ones they've done, like, I was not a huge fan of Lion King or Jungle Book. I loved...
Oh, I did see Jungle Book.
Not loved. I liked Aladdin, and I actually thought the Beauty and the Beast remake was great, but that may just be a crush on Emma Watson. Her nerdy little book talk self.
The last time I watched that movie, I didn't. Nope, that wasn't that movie. I had to think that through. That wasn't that movie. I was watching that with Karma.
And I actually think that.
No, wait, that might have been that movie then.
What, Beauty and the Beast?
Yeah, I was watching the live action Cinderella, I believe, with Karma.
Gotcha. I haven't seen that one.
Yeah, I don't know. It was too long ago.
Yeah. I actually think if it weren't for the fact that it was so recent, I actually think doing a live action Moana makes sense. Because out of like all of those kinds of movies, like that is the one that would translate best to live action.
I never saw their Moana.
Moana.
Yeah, nah.
Make way,
that's
Moana.
That's also like a Pixar type movie, ain't it?
Uh-huh.
That's what I thought.
Staring at the edge of the water.
Oh, I love that. I love that
Moana.
song. But I love the Alicia Cara version.
I'm with you.
But what was I about to say? Oh, I think it's a little easier for some reason. I think it's more digestible to see a Pixar movie transformed into live action
because it's
when it
already
was a
3D by
cartoon.
nature.
Right,
Yeah.
right. Like I think your mind accepts it more.
I don't
But when
disagree
it's
with
a
that.
cartoon, and maybe the fact that it's so old of a cartoon,
Yeah.
and you remake it, it's like
Little Mermaid. I take it you didn't see that one either.
no, I didn't. Really, the only live action I saw was Jungle Book, and I'm not gonna act like I wasn't excited when I saw it. Like, ooh, let me see, what the live action joint is for.
Well, Jungle Book was also the least like musical out of all of them too.
Maybe that's what it is. Maybe I'm
Maybe you just don't
creeped
like
out
the
by
musicals.
animals singing.
Maybe. But I actually thought Aladdin was good. I thought Beauty and the Beast was good, and I thought Little Mermaid was okay. Like I like the little things that they did to kind of change it up, but they also dropped some songs and added some stuff that I was just like, on.
That was with my girl, not Haley Bailey. It was
Actually,
black.
yeah.
Is it Haley Bailey?
I think so.
Sound like a Schoolhouse Rock name.
Let's see. I think. Yeah. Haley Bailey.
Mm-hmm. I knew that.
I don't know.
Well, no, I knew that. I knew that because the other one is Chloe Bailey. That's the Beyonce protege.
Gotcha.
She can't sing as good as Beyonce, but she performs.
Beyonce came out with a country song, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
I missed that. Is her whole new album country?
No, I think
it's
she
just
just
one
has
song.
like one or two songs.
Okay. Thought Beyonce was going after Taylor.
But you know what?
Taylor's not country anymore anyway. She's straight
Right.
pop rock.
But they'll give her whatever she wants.
Yeah.
But you know what? Now that I think about it, I wouldn't be upset if she did. And
I'm loving the hip hop R&B country crossovers, and I've loved that shit forever.
that's what they talked about. That that Beyonce and Taylor is going to do a song.
Yeah.
I don't know if I can be as confident as whatever podcast was saying it, but my whole thing is this, right? Like, I know that she has more Grammys than anybody that's ever lived. She doesn't have an album of the year, which she's tried for a few times and hasn't got. But if it's a whole nother genre that you haven't touched before,
right?
Why not be great? Like, why you gonna hate on her for trying to, venture out?
Yeah,
like,
no.
Let her be great. Because greatness would be winning a Grammy in every single category. Then wouldn't. Then y'all be talking about it like, right. So let her try it.
Right.
So she inspires other young girls and boys to try it one day.
Yeah. I mean, we've had Just Brandon on the show. Like, I like what he's doing with the hip hop country fusion stuff.
I didn't know he was.
Oh yeah, man. That Bush Light Poppy? Come on now.
Oh no, I might have to do my homework.
Uh oh. All right, now you're gonna make me play it on air. We'll probably get demonetized, since we make so much money on this. But
we'll lose a couple of cents.
Always happy to give him a play. Let's see if I can get it.
Yeah, run that. I don't know nothing about that motherfucker. Is that new?
No, this was probably 6 months ago.
That's new to me.
All right, hold on.
That's new to me.
Trying to get it running through the Roadcaster. One moment, please.
Take your
Wait
time, young brother.
while we connect
Young guy.
devices. All right. Hopefully you can hear this when I get it going.
If not, you got 15 seconds to cut it so we can get our sense back. Cutting it off from these bastards.
Can you hear it?
Mhm.
Oh, that's just Brandon.
See if he demonetizes us, if he copyright strikes us.
Last night was a movie. I don't know how I ended up here. Started with liquor and ended with beer. I thought that I was supposed to be clear, but the whole night's foggy. These Midwest boys know how to party. I don't know what they do in Tennessee and Kentucky. In Indiana, we drink Busch Light. It's a simple but a good life. Raise your cans to the moonlight. Here's a toast to a good night. And we ain't nothing but some football watching. Church on Sundays. If I'm lying, let the good Lord strike me. Nothing hits harder than a good pale lager. That's why all the little shotties call me Busch Light Poppy. Sitting by the fire, cold beer and a pretty girl. Cooler ain't empty, but we're planning on getting her. Send somebody sober to the store to grab 30 more. Can you believe that you can't buy Bush Apple anymore? This is every weekend and it's never getting old. Fire still burning, we can't let it get cold. Might try something new while I'm out there on the road, but when I'm back home in Indiana, we drink Busch Light. It's a simple but a good life. Raise your cans to the moonlight. Here's a toast to a good night. And we ain't nothing but some football watching. Church on Sundays. If I'm lying, let the good Lord strike me. Nothing is harder than a good pale lager. That's why all the little shotties call me Busch Light. I can take you to the hood or I can take you down the back road. I think I could help you if you tryna work that back hole. Booty getting bigger, girl, you must be counting macros. Don't know what y'all drink here, but I know back home. I can take you to the hood or I can take you down the back road.
I can't
think
hear
can
the
help
beat,
you if
but
you
I
tryna
hear the
work that
words.
back hole. Booty getting bigger, girl, you must be counting macros. Don't know what y'all drink here, but I know back home. In Indiana, we drink Busch Light. It's a simple but a good life. Raise your cans to the moonlight. Here's a toast to a good night. And we ain't nothing but some football watching. Church on Sundays. If I'm lying, let the good Lord strike me. Nothing is harder than a good pale lager. That's why all the little shotties call me. In Indiana, we drink Busch Light. It's a simple but a good life. Raise your cans to
But yeah, man.
That's the guy. Yeah, he got something.
You
I
did.
couldn't hear the.
The beat wasn't coming all the way through.
Yeah, but
All right, well, I tried.
the words was enough. He got something there.
He's got another one I think is Wild Boys and Cowgirls.
He got something there. I mean, again, get your Beyonce on. Like, attack what it is that the consumers consume.
Right. Right.
And if in your area that's what's popping, pop
Right.
it.
Well, that takes me back to I mean, there's been plenty of good collabs on that front. Like there's at least 2 or 3 like Florida Georgia Line and Nelly songs that I love.
I fuck with Florida.
You never been a Nelly fan, so what is it? Jason Aldean and Ludacris with the Dirt Roads remix.
Like Luda.
See, but those are they're the Dirty South boys, you know?
I don't like
T.I. and Brantley Gilbert.
I don't know
That
about
Bottoms
that.
Up remix, that's
I
high.
fuck with T.I. T.I.'s alright.
T.I.'s verse on when they did the remix with Bottoms Up is I love that verse.
Yeah, no, I can't. I never could get with Luda or Nelly.
Luda.
Like, don't get me wrong, I had CDs,
Right.
because that's what was popping at the time, but I just
Face
never
down,
was-
ass up. That's why you like to fuck.
Now them was some good times.
Yeah, the old Luda. Well, I mean,
Now,
And not to sound like the old guys here, but like old Luda, old Kanye, like it was hard to fuck with them back in the day.
I don't think that. I mean, statistically, you can put Luda up there, but I don't think that Luda should be put up there with Kanye back in the day.
No, well, I think it was different. I think they were two different styles and two different approaches.
Yeah, I agree. I just don't like Luda.
So here's an inadvertent
Not
thought
like
for
as
you.
a person or anything. I don't know the nigga. I'm just like,
No, I hear you. So I've had this like, what is it? This 2000s playlist going when I've been driving the kid over to school this week, and a couple of weeks ago, over the last couple of weeks, and a couple of weeks ago, Crank That Soulja Boy came on, right?
mm-hmm.
Which is just a fun song. And then the second time it played, like this or the next week, I was like, oh, I remember the other one that came out around that time was "Ya Trick Ya." I told Andrew that the next time his mom tells him to do some chores,
No, you don't get no fucked up like that.
hit her with the "Ya Trick Ya," and I will slide you some money, but you can't tell her the dad told you to say it.
You trying to give him money to get snuffed out.
Be like, "Bah, look at the bah."
Yeah, he was insane. I don't know what he was doing with his career. He was having fun.
He was.
He made money though, and people still talking about him.
I mean, shit. You down.
Listen.
Soulja Boy, tell him.
He could have stopped. He could have stopped after that, and I don't know that he wouldn't have been in any better or worse of a situation.
You could crank that Soulja Boy right about the time you did the Cupid Shuffle. It was wonderful.
Yeah, everybody was cranking that. Old folks
Down,
was cranking
down,
that.
do your dance.
Young folks
They say
was
I'm
cranking
a
that.
rapper, but I say no.
What song is that? You didn't mix
Cupid
country
Shuffle.
with the Cupid.
Cupid Shuffle. To the left, to the left, to the left. Now kick, now, come on, baby, kick now, walk it by yourself. Wow. White people love the Cupid Shuffle.
I know. Cause that's line dancing. That's
Right.
how y'all do. That y'all line dance.
That and the cha-cha real smooth. One hop this time.
That was the front for the ecstasy ring. It was. That was the Casper slide. That was the front. He did that to basically clean his money from an ecstasy ring, and they caught him on the back end of that shit.
That's rough.
That's fucked up. Free that nigga, man, because the government doing that shit for years. Why does it matter if he gave us some music too, something that we can still groove to? Let that man out.
The Casper Slide Part 2. It's funny.
Just off that mandatory term that you gotta give us that.
I took
Can't come out unless you give us the Casper Slide Part 2. So
Casper Slide Part 3.
Right.
That's what we need at this point. No, it's funny. So, like a month ago, I took Andrew to school dance, which elementary school dance, so nothing crazy. But Cupid Shuffle came on, and it was one of the songs that I caught him dancing to. And so I sent the video to his mom, and his mom sent me back a video from when he was like 2 years old, and Alexa was had the Casper Slide playing, and he was dancing to it then too.
for real, but he wasn't doing it right.
I mean, he was doing the hops.
That's how you know.
Oh man. All right, Casper Slide, Cupid Shuffle, Electric Slide, or Crank That. Which one you got, Cliff? What's still in you? Or the Butterfly that's old. Let me see.
I'm
you
hitting
Tootsie
them
Roll.
all. I'm hitting them all.
What's your go-to? What's the one that's gonna get you out there? You at a family wedding, it comes on, you're like, oh man.
It's hard not to get electric.
Really? That's the one that pops?
It is. It's hard not to get electric.
It's electric.
You know what I'm saying? Like everybody feels comfortable with it. So you got people that's damn near learning it as they out there. But all them other ones, it's like.
See, Cupid Shuffle was mine. I still like it.
I mean, Cupid Shuffle goes hard, and it did go hard. It was almost to the point that it was like, is this going to replace the electric slide? And it might have, but the electric slide to me feels like a language a lot can speak. You know, like...
I hear you.
Cupid Shuffle may be... And it's simple, you know? You can tell he spent more time doing that than bagging up the less time.
Well, that and what would be the other one? It would be Quad City DJs. Come on the train and ride it. Woo woo.
Listen, I'm not even gonna lie. I wish I could have been in that line dance. I was probably a little too young. I was still young when that was on.
I feel like it played at middle school dances and shit.
I mean, yeah, of course, but
I hear you.
Yeah, nah, as an adult.
Come on the train and ride it. Woo woo.
I bet that's why a lot of these little niggas don't know who their daddy is.
Is coming on the train.
Because listen, that line dance.
Gloria Stefan conga. Go to bed, baby, to do that conga.
I don't know nothing about that. Was it like a choreographed joint?
I mean, it was the conga. It was conga line.
I mean, you know, everybody has a different interpretation of that. You know? Is it a hip step? Is it a, you know, like everybody off on it.
That's true. There's a joke there about post-game after victories at CMU. Gloria Stefan's conga was definitely on the playlist, and I've never understood why.
I like that, though. I like that.
Hey, you like it until you see a group of dudes coming out of the shower in a Gloria Stefan conga line.
No. Oh, no.
Caballero at the front.
Mm-mm.
Or Hispanic linebacker. I wonder what Caballero's doing these days. I might have to look him up.
Oh, I thought you said Kamala. I was about to say, bitch,
Caballero.
She's still prosecuting from behind the scenes.
And maybe it's just the nature of the video clips. And actually, you know, it's funny. So Jon Stewart's back on The Daily Show, right?
Is he?
Yeah. Which means I might have to try to figure out when it's on and how to watch it again. But
right. I will watch it now.
I caught him on TikTok, and he was basically talking about how there was like a series of interviews and stuff where like people were defending Joe Biden and basically saying like, Joe is a strong leader behind the scenes, blah, blah, blah. And basically at the end of the video, he was like, so show us that instead of all the other videos of him stumbling over his words and shit. Like, nobody has a camera during those moments.
Listen, I ain't even gonna lie. And this is, I don't know. I don't even know at this point.
I don't understand how Trump and Joe Biden set records for age of presidential candidates last time they ran on it.
2 years in a row.
Right.
Well, two
elections in a row. Like, we really have no one else that we can bring to the forefront? Like, fuck off. You all are burying. And it gets into the conversation that I can't remember if we had this conversation on the show or if we had it, or if this was between my mom and I offline, but like, they don't give a fuck. They're not long for this world. Like, give us people that like are actually going to have to live with the consequences of their decisions.
Right. That's why the age of presidency should be at least be a
65.
maximum of 65. A maximum. I say a minimum that like
Well, no, it's 35 to 65. Period.
I would agree with that. I would agree with that.
Because those are the ages where you have to live with your consequences.
And even, let's keep it a buck, even 65, you're
That's
out of
pushing it.
there.
Right.
You could go as low as 60.
35 to 55. You have to be in this 20-year window to be able to...
That might be more, I think that's more like it. But see, that probably brings along more young buck presidents.
But again, if you say 35 to 55,
35 is still a good age. That's a good, understandable age. And if you vote in a maniac, I guess that's on the people as well.
Right.
So I agree with you. 35 to 55 doesn't sound bad to me.
And I'm willing to go as high as 65, but
Right.
on both sides.
I agree with that.
That's
no more than 65.
It's absurd.
I agree with that.
Your time is done. Move on.
Listen, even the older people are even my Mima was like, I don't know who would be better at this point, Biden or Trump. And I was like, I get it.
Well, I mean, there was a Kennedy that advertised during the Super Bowl, wasn't there?
Yeah. Robert.
Right. How old is he?
Oh, Raspy Robert. Well, we had our Kennedy, it didn't work.
Yeah, but that was because he was assassinated.
Right. We don't know that he's on the same shit.
Fuck, he's 72.
Right, or Raspy Robert.
I mean, fuck, can we get a candidate that is in his 60s at least?
No, I don't think you can say everybody hated on my nigga Robert Swanee.
After hearing him talk a couple of times, and I did try to give him a chance, I even went to his own shit.
Did you listen to him on Flagrant 2?
No.
You need to listen to that.
Okay.
Because Flagrant 2, they ask him real shit. Shit we was...
I mean, honestly, you could get me to vote for a Republican if it was Nikki Haley, and she is at least flat out saying, no, we're going to raise the age for retirement.
Exactly.
At least she's being honest about this shit.
No, ain't no at least, bitch. Nah.
I mean, the age for retirement should stay at 65, and we should get rid of any political candidates that are over the age of 65 by the fact that they should be retired.
She'd be the first president. No, I can't say that. Can I say that?
Sure.
She'd be the first president that get domestic violence assassinated. And it might not be by the first husband. I guess it wouldn't be a first husband, it'd be a first gentleman.
First gentleman. Oh, man. Where are we going?
No, listen. You know what I'm saying? With what I just said, let me make it clear. I have no problem with a woman being president. But
no, I'm with you.
Nikki Haley gives me vibes.
And they're not good ones.
Real talk, if her dude in Stedman, to where he lives out back in the shed.
Stedman, we gonna get this bitch.
They gonna have a whole DV case like they did Kennedy, where it's well, where did he smack her from? Was it from this angle or that angle? Did he post up in this corner of the house or that corner of the house? Was it his front hand or his back hand?
Right.
And then he gonna be the next president.
Oh man. All right, dude. We are at we've had a good run of shows lately, and this one was especially fun because we had nothing coming into this one. So
Right.
You got anything to take us out?
You know my usual.
Love everybody.
Love everybody. Prepare for the worst. You know, God got us.
Amen. Do us a favor, like, share, subscribe, tell a friend to tell a friend, tell an enemy, tell them to
Tell that nigga to troll.
And with all that, peace out, fools.